So Carry On is such a great action thriller movie that deserved to get way more praise when it was released last year on Netflix. And I genuinely think this is a bit of a masterclass in how you do pacing properly in a movie. I mean, it had such a jaw-dropping opening where it really was setting up how evil these villainous characters really are. And then it spent the next 15 to 20 minutes really setting everything up, but in a really entertaining way, which really connects you with all of the lead characters. And then it very quickly jumps into its nail-biting sequences, and it works in a really good way in not making the audience bored as each one moves on to the next one very rapidly, and so you're not stuck in one scenario or one sequence for that long. And it's interesting as they could have very easily kept the entirety of this movie in this carry-on luggage situation, which was incredibly intense all on its own, and actually a number of different movies are just based in one scenario. For example, this year's release Drop with Megan Fahey was only in one restaurant. But this movie doesn't do that at all, as you are with these characters in a number of different situations across this airport. And actually, on that point, it was pretty fascinating to see how an airport really does operate from a behind-the-scenes perspective. And as a customer, you are just always frustrated by all of the slowness that can take place at an airport. But I thought it was really good to see what it's like from the unfortunate workers' point of view who are subjected to so much grief. And this movie sets up its high-stakes situation really, really well, as these bad guys do not hold back and they really do mean business, as there are unfortunately so many casualties, especially characters that you really have been connected with. I do feel like they could have done a little bit more with the double agent undercover Homeland Security guy, but that sequence at least was the most explosive out of all of them in the film. And that final confrontation was so brilliant, so adrenaline fueled quite literally, and you're really on the edge of your seat. I mean, it was pretty far-fetched and unrealistic, but still was so brilliant to watch, and I just loved Ethan's growth across this movie. And on that point, let's go through all of the characters and actors now. So I have to say, Taron Egerton is absolutely extraordinary as Ethan, and I think they set up this character from a likability point of view so well, as you're also being able to really relate with this guy, as he's obviously got his dreams and his goal that he was never able to achieve in terms of wanting to join the police force, and so instead has followed his crush Nora to LA and is now a TSA agent and is just trying to make the most of his life. He's obviously got a kid on his way now, and so he's trying to get a promotion, and so he's pretty satisfied in this airport working setup, and then suddenly his whole world is coming crumbling around him. But across this movie, the growth in his confidence and the fact that he's got such good instincts just really does show that he could be a really brilliant police officer, and so when you see that he achieves this in the final moment of the film, it's so satisfying. Jason Bateman was really good as the unnamed traveler. They never actually gave this guy a name in the movie, which I think really does show how much of a cloak and dagger guy he really is. But he wasn't alone, as he had a number of other people with him, and as a team they were just so evil. And even though Jason Bateman usually plays really likable, dorky, really happy, positive people, I feel like he played against type so well here, and just how menacing his voiceover was throughout the first half of this movie. And then when you suddenly see him and he's interacting person to person with Ethan, it just takes a whole other turn. Sofia Carson was also really great as Nora. It's a shame she never got to do that much in this movie. She was the typical love interest that you see in these types of movies, but it was nice to at least have a bit of a stealth sequence with her in the parking lot, and she really does have great chemistry opposite Taron Egerton. And even though Ethan is doing a lot of underhand things, especially with other people, for example getting his best friend fired, it was nice that he was able to forgive him right at the end of this movie. So I thoroughly enjoyed Carry On, and I can see why it's one of Netflix's most highly performing movies ever released. And there's typically not that great of a selection of against Christmas type movies, but I now think that Carry On is able to very easily fill that gap and actually do it in a way that's very different to Die Hard. And so everybody involved behind the scenes with Carry On need to give themselves a massive pat on the back, as this movie just comes together so well, with a number of high stakes sequences, and just all of the chase sequences are brilliant, all of the camera work in terms of seeing all of the things that Ethan is trying to do to try to notify everybody, and also just how dark and villainous and relentless this evil group are, especially the sniper who was taking so much pleasure in hunting Nora's character. That guy was so twisted. But as far as Carry On the movie is concerned, I think it was so strong, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a super 7.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Carry On? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.